Welcome to JNtech Networks online IT training company.
So today we can focus on virtual wire concept. Okay.
Okay.
So topic. First, we can focus on what is virtual wire, theoretical and practical. Both we can discuss. Wait. Virtual wire concept. After that, we can go on Palo Alto Firewall packet flow concept. So these two topics we will discuss today. Okay, Jeet?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Okay.
So where we can use virtual wire concept, if you remember, in Palo Alto Firewall, we have multiple interface type concept. If you remember, L3 interface type, right, Anjit?
Yeah. L2.
L3, L2, tap interface. Remember tap interface, virtual wire interface, and HA. L3 is what we can configure. If you are working with L3 interface, so you can configure IP address on interface, right? It's a like a router port. You can configure IP address here. What about L2 interface? L2, it's called switch port. So if you have a Palo Alto firewall device and multiple data interfaces are available and you want to use, in case if you want to use these two interfaces as a normal switch port, so you can go with L2 interface type. Okay, where we can use tap concept. I told you in Palo Alto you can say tap interface concept. In Fortinet you can say one arm sniffer.
Okay.
Tap interface we are using for monitoring. Remember our discussion, we can, if we are working with existing routing switching topology, so before deploy a firewall device into this existing scenario, I need to know the traffic pattern. Okay. Traffic pattern. So what I can do, I can deploy my firewall device. I'm not going to deploy my firewall device in inline mode. What I can do, I can add firewall here. This firewall device, I can connect with this switch. It's called switch 4, for example. And this interface I'm using as a tap interface. And see, here we have switch 1, switch 2, this is switch 3, this is switch 4.
Okay.
Tap interface we are using for monitoring. Remember this concept, tap concept?
Yeah.
What we can do into this existing routing switching topology, we can use a concept is called span, switch port analyzer.
Yeah.
In case if you are working with single switch, so you can go with span concept. It's called port mirroring concept. So with single switch, you can go with span. If you have multiple switches, so you can go with R span concept. So into this topology here, we have multiple switches. So you can implement R span. It's a switching concept, Ajit.
Okay.
Switching concept. So what we can do, we can enable R span concept onto this interface and onto this interface. Why? Because traffic is traveling via this interface. So you can enable R span concept on this port. So this time, if any traffic is going to receive or transmit onto this interface, it will create a copy of this packet. It will create a copy of this traffic, okay, and it will send on to the destination interface. So if you are familiar with RSPAN configuration, in case, so in RSPAN configuration, you can define two information, Ajit.
Okay.
RSPAN configuration on switches, you can define two information. First, you can define source interface, and you can define destination interface. So I'm trying to capture traffic information onto this interface. So this interface is acting as a source interface, clear?
Source.
And now once it will copy, once it will create a copy of this packet, so it will send onto this interface. And this interface we are using as a destination interface. So this, for example, this 0/24, for example, this 0/24 interface is connected with Palo Alto Firewall port number 6. So this tap interface is trying to collect the information, here. So as a firewall administrator, if I have a traffic pattern idea, like what type of file they are accessing most of the time, okay, what type of application they are accessing most of the time, which URL or URL category they are accessing most of the time. If I have a traffic pattern idea, so this can help me to configure my firewall device, right? So
Okay.
tap interface we are using for monitoring.
Monitoring. Okay.
Only see, tap interface will not block any malicious information. Tap interface we are only using for monitoring. Clear now?
Yeah, clear, sir.
Okay, now we can focus on virtual wire concept. So why we need virtual wire concept in Palo Alto? Great. Let's talk about scenario. Why we need virtual wire concept. So virtual wire is just like a layer 2 firewall. It's not a layer 2 firewall, Ajit. Okay.
Okay.
Layer 2 firewall means what? You are using your complete device as a layer 2 firewall. But in Palo Alto, we have a virtual wire concept. It's like a layer 2 firewall device, okay, but it's not a layer 2 firewall concept. Let me tell you, see, you can use your firewall device as a L3 firewall box, or you can use as a layer 2 firewall box, right?
Okay.
Every vendor, if you go with any vendor, you can use your firewall device in 2 mode. Either you can go with L3 mode firewall device, you can work with L3 mode firewall device, or you can go with layer 2 mode firewall device. This L3 is called NAT mode. You can say NAT mode firewall. L2, it's called transparent firewall. Transparent firewall device. So in case if you have a firewall device and this device mode is L3, for example, So these interfaces are L3 interfaces. These interfaces are L3 interfaces. So you can configure IP address onto these interfaces. You can configure IP address here. And it's a layer 3 firewall device. So you can configure routing, you can configure VPN, you can configure NAT, and it's a next generation firewall. So you can use next generation firewall feature. Clear my point?
Yeah.
In case if you are using your firewall device as a NAT mode firewall. Clear now, Ajit?
Okay.
You can ask
In L3, right?
L3 firewall device. Yes.
Okay.
You can say L3 firewall device. You can say NAT mode firewall device. You are familiar with this concept. Remember interface configuration,
Yeah.
routing configuration.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we are familiar with L3 firewall device. Clear now?
Yeah.
On L3 firewall device, you can configure routing. See, you can configure routing. You can configure VPN concept like site to site, remote access VPN. You can configure NAT for translation. Clear now, Adit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, in case if you are using your firewall device as a layer 2 firewall, for example, if you are using your firewall device as a layer 2 firewall device, then if this box is acting as a layer 2 firewall box, so these interfaces are called layer 2 interface. Layer 2 interface. It means you cannot configure IP address onto these interfaces. Clear my point? It's not a switch
Okay.
port, Ajit.
Okay. Okay.
It's not a switch port. It's a L2 interface. It means you cannot configure IP address here. You cannot configure IP address onto these interfaces. And it's a layer 2 firewall device. So you cannot configure routing, VPN, no, NAT, no. But it's a firewall device. It's a next generation firewall device. So you can use next generation firewall feature. Clear my point?
Okay. Yeah.
So you can see here, we have limitation, right? We have limitations in layer 2 firewall. You can see
Okay.
if I'm working with L3 firewall device, so I can utilize full feature, right? I can connect my firewall device with internet. I can configure routing if it is required. I can configure VPN, site-to-site remote access VPN. I can configure NAT for translation, right? So with layer 3 firewall device, you have great feature, right, Ajit?
Okay.
You can utilize all your features, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
But with layer 2 firewall device, what you have limitation. You have limitation with layer 2. So my point is, in which scenario, my question is, in which scenario we can use our firewall device as a layer 2 firewall? Because with layer 3 firewall device, we have great features, right? We can configure routing, VPN,
Okay. Switch.
NAT, we can configure IP address on interfaces, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about scenario where we can use our firewall device as a layer 2 firewall device. So here we have existing network. For example, here we have an existing routing switching topology. This is router and this router is connected with ISP side. This side we have a switch, for example. This is your LAN portion, LAN network. So this is existing routing switching topology. Okay, Ajit.
Okay.
Into this topology, everything is working fine. Okay, this machine is sending traffic to the switch. Switch is forwarding traffic to the router, and based on his routing table, the router is forwarding traffic to the outside. Everything is working fine.
Okay.
Now into this topology, into this existing scenario, now you want to deploy a firewall device here. I want to deploy my Palo Alto because I am looking for packet filters. I want to filter my traffic.
Okay.
Now I want to deploy a firewall device here. So before deploy a firewall device here, you can see this is what your LAN subnet, right? Ajit? Yes or no?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
LAN network, single subnet, right?
Yeah.
This is what your WAN subnet, WAN site. So in your LAN subnet, see, so I'm trying to deploy my firewall device here in inline mode. In case if I'm using this firewall device as a layer 3 firewall, for example, if I'm using this firewall device as a layer 3 firewall device, so these interfaces, are what? These are L3 interfaces, and it's a L3 firewall device. So each interfaces are participating in different subnet, right?
Okay.
Because it's a L3
So
firewall
both.
device. If you have multiple interfaces, like on router, if you have a router device with multiple interfaces, so each interfaces are participating in different subnet, right? Different network. Ajit.
Okay.
Yes,
So
Ajit.
so both interfaces will be in a different subnet.
Yes, it's required. It needs.
Okay.
It's a L3 firewall device, L3 device.
Okay.
If you have any L3 device like firewall or router is L3 device, right?
I'm talking
Router
about
is a
while
L3
configure
device.
in Vwire, Vwire,
No,
virtual.
we are not talking about right now VWire
Oh,
concept.
okay.
No.
Okay.
Right now I'm giving you idea why we are using layer 2 firewall concept. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
After
Okay.
that, we'll go on to the virtual wire.
Okay.
So now in case if you are using your firewall device as a layer 3 firewall box, so each interfaces are participating in different subnet. So now into this existing network, now you need to change your IP address scheme. See,
Okay.
now your single subnet is divided into multiple subnets. See, now here you have a different subnet this side, different subnet. So you need to change IP address scheme in your network. Clear my point?
Okay. Yeah.
In case if you are trying to deploy your firewall device as a layer 3 firewall device. So you need to change your existing IP address scheme, right?
Okay.
Ajit, clear for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, interfaces are participating in different subnet. So now into this existing network, now you need to change your IP address scheme. See,
Okay.
now your single subnet is divided into multiple subnets. See, now here you have a different subnet, this side, different subnet. So you need to change IP address scheme in your network. Clear my point?
Okay. Yeah.
In case if you are trying to deploy your firewall device as a layer 3 firewall device. So you need to change your existing IP address scheme, right?
Okay.
Ajit, clear for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, so no problem. I want to deploy my firewall device here. So no problem. I can change my IP address scheme. I want to deploy. But in case if you don't want to change anything, if you don't want to change any IP address scheme into your existing network, okay, and you want to deploy your firewall device, so you can deploy your firewall device as a layer 2 firewall. As a layer 2 firewall. If you don't want to change IP address scheme in your network. Like
Okay.
you can say in live network, if you want to deploy a firewall device, so you can deploy your device as a layer 2 firewall. See, now these interfaces are layer 2 interfaces, Ajit. Layer 2 interfaces.
Okay.
So they are in same subnet. But yes, it's a zone-based firewall device. So you need to put this interface in a zone. So it's a LAN zone interface. It's a WAN zone interface.
Oh, answer. Okay.
It's a complete firewall device. If you want to allow traffic from one zone to another zone, you need to configure Ajit, security policy,
policy.
right?
Yeah.
Clear now my point?
Yeah.
So layer 2 firewall device we can use in a live network where you don't want to change existing IP address scheme. Clear where we can use layer 2 firewall device?
Yeah.
Like in real scenario, layer 2 firewall mode we are using in existing data center network. Ajit.
Okay.
Most of the time we are using layer 2 firewall device in existing data center, because data center network is complex network, okay, and everything see, all information is already configured. IP address is already configured, okay. Now you want to deploy a firewall device in your data center network. So I don't want to change anything. I don't want to change any IP address scheme. So I can deploy my firewall device as a layer 2 firewall device.
Okay.
But here we have a limitation, right? With layer 2 firewall device, we have limitation, right? We cannot configure routing, remember?
Yeah.
Cannot configure VPN, NAT.
VPN NAT.
We cannot configure. We have limitation. I hope it's clear, Ajit, for you, where we can
Yeah.
use layer 2 firewall device.
Yeah.
Now we can focus on virtual wire concept. So virtual wire, why we need see. So in Palo Alto, we have virtual wire pairing concept. It's like a layer 2 firewall concept. It's not a layer 2 firewall, but it's like a layer 2 firewall. So for example, see, for example, if I'm using, for example, here we have a Palo Alto firewall device, Ajit, okay? This is Palo
Okay.
Alto firewall. If you have multiple interfaces, for example, multiple interfaces, this side is LAN portion and multiple interfaces on WAN side, you can say. So if this inside machine is trying to initiate his traffic will go and hit onto the firewall device. And these interfaces we are using as a L3 interfaces, Ajit.
Okay.
So if traffic is going to hit onto the firewall device, then what firewall will do? For example, he's trying to communicate with 8.8.8.8. So this traffic will go and hit onto the firewall device. What firewall will do? Firewall will check his routing table, right?
Yeah.
Firewall device will check his routing table. Okay, is there any entry available to go on 8.8.8? So firewall will verify his routing table, and based on routing table, firewall can find exit interface, because multiple exit interface. Here we have multiple exit interface, right?
Yeah.
Based on routing table, firewall can identify, okay, you want to go on 8.8.8, this is your exit interface. So router will do some process in background, right, Ajit?
Okay.
After
Yeah.
that device will find his exit interface, no problem. But it will do some process in background.
Okay.
Ajit, clear now my point?
Yeah.
So
Clear.
here, what we can do, if you see right now, firewall is doing some processing. You are creating overhead on your firewall device. Firewall will do some process in background, and it will find the exit interface. It will do some process. Okay, so here we can use virtual wire pairing concept. What is virtual wire pairing? In virtual wire pairing, first, if you are using your interface as a virtual wire interface, so remember always, we cannot configure IP address on virtual wire interface. Clear now my point?
Yeah.
So it's like a layer 2 interface. You cannot configure. It's an interface. It's not box. Interface. So in Palo Alto, you can go with virtual wire interface type and on virtual wire interface, you cannot configure IP address. And here we have a concept of virtual wire pairing. You can say virtual wire pairing concept. You can pair two interfaces. For example, this is what 0/0 interface. This is 0/1, 0/2, 0/3, 0/4. So I can pair two interfaces here, 0/0 and 0/1. I can pair these two interfaces, Ajit.
Okay.
Why I'm using this concept? So this time, if this inside machine is trying to hit onto this interface, and you are using virtual wire pairing concept. In virtual wire, you can pair interfaces. So here, whenever traffic will go and hit onto this interface, his exit interface is always 0/1. So my point is what? No need to check routing table. No need to check routing table, okay? If traffic is going to hit onto this interface, and this interface, it's a virtual wire interface. If this interface is a virtual wire interface, so firewall will check, okay, it's a virtual wire, so let me check my pair interface, because if this interface is a virtual wire interface, so it will participate in virtual wire. So for example, I'm using Vwire, just a name, Vwire 11, just a name, okay? Like virtual router, you can create VIR virtual router. Same, you can create virtual wire. So for example, virtual wire name is Vwire 11. So I can put these two interfaces in Vwire 11. So if traffic is going to hit onto this interface, firewall will identify, okay, this interface is it's a virtual wire interface. So this interface is participating in Vwire 1.1. So I need to check my pair interface. Because in Vwire pairing configuration, you need to define two interfaces. You need to define your two interfaces. So this is what? This is what ingress interface you can say, and this is what egress interface. So now traffic is only traveling. Traffic is now only traveling in between 0/0 and 0/1.
Okay.
Clear now?
Yeah.
So you can, in Palo Alto, you can pair two interfaces. You can go with virtual wire pairing concept. So where we can use this scenario, for example, I have existing routing switching topology. Okay, routing switching topology, and I want to deploy my firewall device. And here I have Palo Alto. It's not Fortinet. Okay. In Palo Alto, we have virtual wire concept. Okay. In Fortinet, you can go with layer 2 firewall. In every firewall, we have different features. Ajit.
Okay.
In every firewall device. In Palo Alto, you are working with virtual wire. In Fortinet, different concept. Checkpoint, different concept. FTD, different concept. Okay. So in case if I want to deploy a firewall device here, and I have Palo Alto. I have Palo Alto. And into this existing network, I don't want to change anything. What I can do? I can deploy my Palo Alto firewall device here. And these interfaces I'm using as a Vwire.
Virtual wire. Okay.
So no need to configure IP address. See, no need to change IP address scheme. If you want to allow traffic from one zone to another zone, yes, you can configure security policy. Clear now? So if any traffic is going to hit onto this interface, his exit interface is what? Always 0/1.
Okay.
Are it clear for you?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Wire. So let's try to implement Vwire concept here. Wait. So here we have a small topology. This is what Palo Alto firewall device, and this router is public facing router, internet facing router, and this portion is your LAN portion. So in between gateway and this LAN machine, we are using our Palo Alto firewall device, and these two interfaces I want to use as a virtual wire interface. Ajit, this is our task.
Okay.
Clear for you?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on to the Palo Alto firewall device. Wait. Palo Alto firewall, and I'm trying to configure this box. Let's try to access.
Okay.
Okay, so into this network, Ajit, into this LAN side, we are using same series of IP, right?
Okay.
Same series of IP. So for example, I'm using 200 network here. Okay, let's start our configuration. Ajit, can you hear me dear?
Yeah.
So into this topology here we have two interfaces, Ethernet 1/1 and Ethernet 1/2. So you can see here, you can see here is the option virtual wire. If you click on virtual wire, you can create here. You can click on add and you can create virtual wire. You can give a name. For example, I'm giving a name Vwire 11. Vwire 1, just a name. And you can see into this virtual wire, you can add only two interfaces. See, interface 1 and interface 2.
2. Okay.
Are it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not creating right now. Okay, I'm not creating. Let's go on to the interface here. So Ethernet 1/1, I'm using as a virtual wire interface. Right now, this interface type is L3, but let's change now. So
Okay.
I'm using interface type is called virtual wire.
Virtual wire.
If you select virtual wire, so what you can define, assign interface to virtual wire. Security zone you can define, and you can see you cannot configure IP address here. See,
Okay.
you cannot configure. So let's go on to the interface. Let's create virtual wire here. You can click on virtual wire, and I'm giving a name. Vwire 11. You can click on OK. Security zone, yes. We can create a security zone here. So Ethernet 1/1, we are using in LAN zone. You can click on OK. Object already exists. Okay, I think I'm using, no problem. LAN subnet. LAN subnet. Now you can click on OK. Okay, you can click on OK, no problem. You can Ethernet 1/2. 1/2 interface type. We are using virtual. We are using virtual wire. We have right now Vwire 11. Security zone we can create. It's called WAN network. You can click on OK. You can click on OK. Clear now my point?
Yeah.
Very simple. You can click on commit. You can commit your configuration. This will take time. So let's configure this inside router. Inside machine, you can say. Inside machine. IP address. I'm configuring 200 network. Okay, IP address, interface fast Ethernet 0/0, 200.10.255.0, no shutdown command. We can give a host name LAN PC. Let's configure this router, this gateway router. No. IP address I'm configuring on 0/0 interface. Okay, now
Okay.
gateway device interface. This is gateway device interface fast Ethernet 0/0 200 200.1 mask you can configure, no shutdown done. So I'm using same series of IP address. Okay, from LAN PC, if I'm trying to initiate my traffic, we are using same series of IP. So you can see here, show IP interface brief. I'm using 200 210 and I'm trying to ping. I'm trying to travel through the firewall device. I'm trying to ping 200 201, but I'm not getting reply. Why? Because in between R1 and R2, we have a firewall device, right?
Yeah.
And it's a zone based firewall. So if you want to allow traffic from one zone to another zone, you need to create security policy here. So now you can see virtual wire. Here we have virtual wire, and you can verify your interface information into this virtual wire 1/1, 1/2.
Okay.
Now to allow your traffic, you can go onto the policy. You can go into the policy. You can click on security policy. You can click on add. And now let's create a rule here. Let's create a rule. For example, Vwire policy.
Good.
Just a name, just a name.
Okay.
Interzone communication source. So as per my task, source zone is LAN, right? LAN subnet. Zone information, LAN subnet. Source address any. Destination zone is WAN network. Remember our zone configuration? Ajit, any problem?
No.
Okay, so source zone LAN subnet, destination zone WAN subnet.
Answer.
Any application, any service URL category action is allow. Allow,
Okay.
you can click on OK. You can commit your configuration. So we are using Vwire pairing policy. Vwire pair policy, you can say. So you can pair two interfaces only. And to allow traffic from one interface to another interface or one zone to another zone, you can configure your security policy. Clear now my point?
Yeah.
So here we have a policy. Here we have a policy. And now this time, if I'm trying to initiate my traffic, if I'm trying to ping 200, 200, 200.1, so this time I'm getting reply.
Okay. Okay.
Before, see, previously it was 0%. This time 200, 200, see, traffic is traveling. This is virtual wire concept. I hope it's clear for you.
Yeah.
I hope it's clear for you. Ajit, any
Yeah.
question there?
Yeah. Just it's like we are mirroring like a pairing two ports, right? It's
Exactly.
directly traffic. You will move one interface to another interface.
Now traffic is traveling only in between 1/1 and 1/2. Traffic will travel only in between two interfaces. So this is, you can say, if this is ingress interface, this is egress interface. If this is egress interface is defined already. No need to check routing table. If you remember L3 interface configuration, if any traffic is going to hit onto the firewall device, firewall will check his routing table to find exit interface. In virtual wire pairing, you are telling what? Ingress interface and egress interface. You are pairing two interfaces. Clear now?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Clear, sir.
Clear? Okay. So this is our virtual wire interface configuration and virtual wire policy configuration. Now we can focus on Palo Alto firewall packet flow. Let's start this topic tomorrow because this will take 1 hour minimum. Ajit, let's
Okay.
start this packet flow concept tomorrow. Okay, this new topic tomorrow. This will take one session.
Okay. Okay.
So
Packet flow.
Yes, packet flow. It's very important. Packet flow. After packet flow, we can go for decryption and we can go for remote access VPN configuration. So this week we can finish, Ajit.
Okay.
This
All
week
right.
we can finish our training. So do you
Okay.
want to start any other firewall device on same time?
Um, Not right now. Just I want to focus on this one Palo first.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe after 15, 16 days, because now kids' vacation is going on.
Okay, okay, okay,
So maybe I will be traveling 1 or 2 weeks
okay.
next month.
Next month you can plan. No problem.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can talk with team, okay?
yeah, sure.
They can tell you upcoming batches information.
Oh, okay, yeah, I will.
So packet flow, see, we can go with packet flow concept tomorrow, and after that we'll discuss decryption concept and one more topic, remote access
Oh,
feed.
okay.
So this
So
week,
currently I'm working with we have the Palo Alto product using in the production.
okay,
So next I want to look for FTF, F5 and CCNB.
F5 and
Uh,
CCNP
C
security or CCNP enterprises.
enterprises.
Enterprises. Okay.
Yeah,
So for F5, we have a F5 certified trainer. Okay, Mr. Akshay. Okay, he will take
okay.
batches.
Okay.
So
Both
no problem. You can
LTM
you
and
can you
GTM.
can plan for F5 training or enterprise training next month. No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, Ajit. Let's
Yeah,
continue our topic tomorrow. Okay.
yeah, sir.
Bye, dear. Take care.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, dear.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.